Biologists discover 50,000-year-old life trapped in giant underground crystals in Naica caves in Chihuahua, Mexico. They found weird life trapped in these giant underground crystals. Floating in pockets of fluid, microbes are likely new to science and may be up to 50,000 years old, say NASA researchers. February 17th article, Boston, Massachusetts. They say that creatures that thrive on iron, sulfur, and other chemicals have been found trapped inside giant crystals deep in the Mexican cave. The microbial life forms, most likely new to science, if the researchers who found them are correct, the organisms are still active. They're alive, even though they've been slumbering for tens of thousands of years. So if they verify this, the discovery adds to evidence that microbial life on Earth can endure harsher conditions in isolated places than scientists previously thought possible. See life found deep under Antarctic ice for first time, for example. These organisms have been dormant but viable for geologically significant periods of time, and they can be released due to other geological processes. This is what NASA Astrobiology Institute Director Penelope Boston announced. She's the person that announced the find today, February 17th, at a meeting of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Quote, "This has profound effects on how we try to understand the evolutionary history of microbial life on this planet," end quote. At the same time, the microbes raise serious concerns about efforts to explore other worlds in our solar system and hunt for alien life, she says. NASA takes many rigorous steps to sterilize spacecraft when necessary, but there are always risks that a mission to drill into another world can carry invasive and highly durable Earth creatures along for the ride. See, going to Mars could mess up the hunt for alien life. Quote, "How do we ensure that life detection missions are going to detect true Mars life or life from icy worlds rather than our life?" End quote. This is what Boston asks. She adds, "Aspects of my work illustrate that extreme toughness of life on Earth and the restrictions that place on us." Now, these microbes are bubble bugs. The microbes are adaptive to survive in the extreme environments inside the caves. The caves of crystals in Naica mine in the northern state of Chihuahua in Mexico. Operations to haul up lead and silver involved pumping groundwater out of the vast underground caverns, which revealed a labyrinth of massive milky white crystals, some of them reaching more than 30 feet long. Boston took samples from pockets of fluid trapped inside these crystals back in 2008 and 2009 under the auspices of New Mexico Tech. Her team was able to, quote-unquote, wake up dormant microbes in that fluid and grow cultures, she revealed today at the meeting. She grew cultures from these dormant microbes. The organisms are genetically distinct from anything we know on Earth, according to her team's analysis, although they are most similar to other microbes found in caves and volcanic terrain as well. Previous work dated the oldest crystal in the cave at 500,000 years old. Based on those calculations for the crystal growth rate, her team believes the organisms they have growing in the lab had been inside their glittering cocoons of the crystals from somewhere between 10,000 and 50,000 years. The work is being written up for publication right now, has not yet gone through the peer review process, the standard first step in verifying a scientific find and discovery. That makes it hard for other experts to say much about the claim for now. Quote, "But reviving microbes from samples of 10,000 to 50,000 years is not that outlandish based on previous reports of microbial resuscitations in geological materials hundreds of thousands to millions of years old," end quote. That's what Brent Christner notes. He's a biologist at the University of Florida in Gainesville. For example, other scientists report an ancient microbial life found in glacial ice, encased in amber and trapped in salt crystals. However, the amount of skepticism associated with these studies usually correlates directly with the age of the claim. Part of the problem is that no one is sure how long life of any kind can survive when it's dormant. Even sleeping organisms need food eventually, or their cells will start to degrade, and scientists don't know yet if these hardy microbes can slow down their metabolism just enough to survive for millennia. So it's possible for the organisms, these little bubble bugs of microbes from Naica giant crystals in Mexico, are eking out a living using the limited energy sources in the fluids in which they are found in the crystals. Christner adds, perhaps they are surviving by eating dead microbes that weren't so lucky. Young interlopers. But there's also a chance that the Naica microbes didn't come from inside the crystal at all, but from the pools of water which are surrounding the crystals. In 2013, researchers in France and Spain reported the discovery of microbial life in hot, saline springs deep inside the Naica system. In the water, that is. In the water in the caves. These modern-day microbes also get their energy from chemicals in the subsurface and are also genetically distinct from known microbial species. Microbiologist Purificación López Garcia of the French National Center for Scientific Research, one of the co-authors of the 2013 study, says, I think that the presence of microbes trapped within the fluid inclusions in Naica crystals is in principle possible. However, that they are viable after 10,000, 50,000 years is more questionable. So he doesn't believe that it's that much possible. Contamination during drilling with microorganisms attached to the surface of the crystals or living in tiny fractures constitute a very serious risk, says Lopez Garcia. I'm very skeptical about the veracity of this finding until I see the evidence. Well, that's why they went in wearing these hazmat suits, trying to protect themselves from anything that could be infectious. Boston notes that her team took a variety of steps to try and avoid contamination, including wearing protective suits, sterilizing their drills, and sterilizing the surfaces of the crystals with hydrogen peroxide, and in some cases they even sterilized them using fire. Boston says, we have also done genetic work and cultured the cave organisms that are alive now and exposed, and we see that some of those microbes are similar but not identical to those found in the liquid inclusions. That gives the team additional confidence that they are seeing organisms from inside the crystals. So will they be going back for more research, more examination of these crystals? Quote, since I have stepped into NASA management role now, my time for science is quite limited, end quote. That's what Boston says. The microbes her team collected are a precious resource, but she goes on to say we want to make it available to other folks. There is still a lot of work to do to infer anything about their history, movement, and genetic relations. But unfortunately, it's not possible for anyone to go back to the cave to collect more samples. It would be a tricky task, because the mines stopped being profitable and operations at Naica have stopped. So the crystal caves is once more flooded with groundwater. Boston notes that the cultures her team collected are still actively growing, and she hopes other scientists will keep studying these creatures. Well, unless they go scuba diving or snorkeling or whatever they can do into the groundwater, that's the only way from now on that they can go and examine these crystals in the Naica caves. I'll leave links below for you for this.